Hi, everybody. Jed sends his regrets, sincere regrets, because I was coming anyhow. Karen Brosius is one of my favorite people, and he is so sorry he could not be here to hear you talk. Karen Brosius is the Art Executive Director of the Columbia Museum of Art. She came to the city in 2004 and is responsible for the leadership and management of the foremost international art museum in South Carolina and a favorite stop for visitors in the Southeast. And I'm going to digress here a little bit and put in a constituent's plug for the Museum of Art. The Museum of Art is a living, breathing museum. And I personally believe that it has been the anchor and the leader in the revitalization of Main Street. And I'm sure Karen will talk to you a lot about all the wonderful programs and exhibits that they have there, but it is a wonderful feather in Columbia's cap. Karen has worked in all facets of art management and outreach, and she came to us from New York City, from the Altria Group, where she served, where she served as a senior philanthropic arts and communications executive at the company. She has supported the mission of museums throughout her career. She serves as a member of the Association of Art Directors, a national membership group comprised of 200 members from top museums in North America. In addition, she received a White House appointment to serve on the National Board of the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences, which is the country's largest funder of museums and libraries. She has also served on the boards of numerous arts organizations as well as AIDS and hunger relief organizations in New York, in Washington, D.C., and in South Carolina. Since she has been in South Carolina, she has been recognized as one of the most outstanding women, or the Woman of Distinction in 2006, which is an award from the Girl Scouts of the Congaree, the 2008 Chairman's Award from the City Center Partnership, Columbia's Business Leadership Group, and the 2010 Palmetto Center for Women Award service to the community, making a difference in the lives of citizens in the greater Columbia region. And recognition in the Free Times Power issue as one of the 50 most influential people in Columbia in 2012 and in 2013. And I don't know what happened in 2014, but you should have gotten that one too. She received her master's degree, summa cum laude, in music history from the City University in New York, Hunter College, and has studied the Juilliard School and with teacher Nadia Boulanger in Paris. She is the ultimate francophile. She speaks fluent French, and if you ever want to travel in Paris or in France, she and her husband are walking tour guides. She's just delightful, and her husband, Wilson Powell, is a native of Florence, and I'm just so glad to be able to introduce her. This is Karen Brosius.
Bonjour. Now I'm not going to do it all in French. Wouldn't that be horrible for you all? Thank you so much, Carol, for a wonderful introduction. I've got all my toys up here, my glasses if I need them, but I think I'll be fine. And I've got my clicker. I'm hoping it's going to work. Do I shoot it to something? Is Billy there? Okay. But first, I want to say how much I've enjoyed my time in South Carolina. I moved here in 2004. I met my husband, my South Carolina husband, in New York. And we've been married a very long time, which is fabulous. And I just love being here in South Carolina. I just love the state. So today, I just really appreciate this opportunity to just tell you a little bit about the Columbia Museum of Art. And I'm going to just start by telling you what our mission is, but then telling you how we live it every day. The Columbia Museum of Art's mission is to, quote, celebrate outstanding artistic creativity through its collection, exhibitions, and programs, interacting in ways that engage the mind and enrich the spirit. But honestly, what does that mean, and how do we bring it to your lives? So here are some of these examples that I'm going to show you how we come alive in our work every day. So the presentation that I'll talk about is how we serve as a dynamic center for education and inspiration for all, how we've been a driver of tourism and economic activity for our community and state, and I'll wrap up with an introduction to our current exhibitions. Did you know that the CMA was chartered by the General Assembly of South Carolina in 1949 for, quote, the betterment of culture, education, and quality of life in South Carolina? We opened our doors to the public in 1950, and for 65 years we have lived up to that charge. In fact, our work has been recognized twice through receiving the Governor's Award for the Arts. Our collection spans world history from ancient Rome to the art of our time. South Carolina boasts numerous fine art museums throughout the state, but they focus mostly on Southern or American art. Our unique role is to collect and exhibit art from a broad range of cultures and time periods. So we are the International Art Museum for our state. Did you know we have great European masters and the largest collection of Asian art? In South Carolina, we are also your go-to museum for French Impressionists or Italian paintings of Venice. Speaking of French Impressionists, did you know we have a Monet? This piece is one of the most beloved paintings in our community. It's called the Seine at Giverny, and it was recently featured in a major exhibition that traveled the United States that examined Monet's devotion to painting the River Seine. You know, you're all familiar probably with his big water lilies paintings. Well, of the Seine, he did more than 300, so this was a really particularly important exhibition. Each year we offer 800 programs. Yeah, that's right, 800, 6 days a week, where you can explore your curiosity with staff, volunteers, and our special guests. Some of our programs focus on music, theater, some take place in the galleries, and some involve films and lectures. Some are about creating art. They springboard off of our own collection and our exhibitions and offer you lots of different ways to engage in the visual arts. There really is something for everyone. Through our work as a nonprofit charitable organization, we raise crucial funds that help remove the financial barriers to our museum. Did you know that 30% of our programs are offered for free? They include open admission days, programs for families, and partnerships with community organizations and schools. One of our favorite free programs, and you can see it in the upper left-hand corner, she's looking at a little device. It's a handheld free media tour known as TAP, because you just tap the device. It's very easy to use. But it gives you a personal tour. It's got an audio, it's got video, it's got background behind the scenes, talks with the curators, and you can use your own smartphone or you can just borrow one at the front desk. So I'd love to talk about this because it really shines a really bright light on the show. Fun for families. Now that's a word you don't hear with art museums often, but you may, because you kind of think you have to be quiet and behave yourself, but we just have so much fun at the art museum. We're always looking for ways to make the CMA a great stop for parents and kids to come on their own. On the upper right, you can see a grasshopper, and her name is Gladys. We created this new family mascot who serves as a fun guide in all of our materials, but also at the museum. And she is beloved by children. In fact, she was on a piece of beautiful brown furniture up in the galleries, an Art Nouveau piece, where we borrowed her from, and Gladys was asked, gosh, you know, you were brown on that piece of furniture. The children wanted to know you were brown, and how did you turn out looking like this? And she said in her interview, when I was asked to be the Columbia Museum of Art's mascot, I burst into color. So that's why she is so beautiful, and the kids just love her. She does a good job. We have an education gallery, and by the way, it's free all the time. It's open for grandparents, kids, their parents, please come to our education gallery, and Gladys, will guide you through with lots of fun interactive games. There's a lot of comfortable furniture. One of our board members said, there's no place to plug in my iPhone. So we figured that out for the adults who want to sit and multitask while they're with their kids at the art museum, and just sit back and relax. The galleries are fun too. You can see on the lower right picture, if you can see it, the children have these wonderful backpacks that Mass General Store gave us. And what we do is we stuff them full of tools and exploration and creative games for them to take through the galleries. The backpack is always changed for every new show. So when you bring your kids back or your grandchildren back, it's always available for a tour of the collection, and they just love it. Did you know we also have a fabulous retail shop on Main Street? It's full of gifts, stationery, handcrafted items by local artists, lots of things for children. We even carry a line of toys that have been highly rated for kids with autism. And we feel like this is one way we contribute to the vitality of downtown businesses. All proceeds go right back to supporting the mission, but there is another difference that most of you probably don't know. You are not charged sales tax at the Columbia Museum of Art shop because of our charitable mission. So when you come in, you save 8% automatically on anything you purchase, but you also have the good feeling to know it's supporting our community programs. Carol mentioned our investment in being on Main Street and the important role that that has played. A little bit of background, 20 years ago, Columbia City Council came to the museum, which was then right near the university on Senate Street, and asked the museum to relocate to the corner of Main and Hampton Street, across from the Marriott. They wanted us to serve as the cultural anchor for this redevelopment. And since we opened in 1998, and you probably remember it was in an old defunct Macy's department store, the people have come and the area has thrived. We've been told at least $500 million of investment have happened thanks to the Art Museum being on Main Street, and this comes from our business partner at City Center Partnership. And they can't say enough good things about what the arts have done for downtown. Now, drawing tourists, we know from around the world that art museums are a proven magnet around the world for attracting tourists. We're a great example because we feel we do add to the vibrancy of our city so much. It's good for business, and boosts civic pride. In fact, the City of Columbia has a plan to become a world-class city, and they recognize you can't be a world-class city without a world-class art museum. Here are a few highlights. Over the last 10 years, our attendance and outreach has increased over 450%. And that is due to the great programs we provide, but also the stable support of our government, business partnerships, and the support of thousands of individuals who want this museum to be successful. We've welcomed more than 1.2 million people in 10 years. Tourism is huge. 53% of our visitors, more than half, come to us from outside Richland County, and 20% come from outside the state. And last year alone, we had visitors from all 50 states, all 46 counties in South Carolina, and 37 countries around the world. The CMA spends the majority, though, of our budget locally, providing economic investment back into our community, and we operate in the black. Sometimes it's by $25 at the end of the year, but we operate in the black. Our work has an annual impact of $23 million in the local economy each year. As a matter of fact, you might not know this, but arts tourists often stay longer and spend more money than the general tourist. So we are helping to really increase hotel stays, restaurants, and other activity while they're here. I love how we've served the community well by bringing in tourists and contributing to the growth of downtown, but what really gets me out of bed every day and inspires me is the work we do in being a leader in education and is a go-to place for lifelong learning. Seeing the impact of these arts programs have on children because they're often the carrot that help kids learn. We don't just teach people how to draw, kids how to draw, we teach them how to think. We teach them how to problem solve, how to be great teammates, how to collaborate. That's what the arts teach kids. And it's one of the most great motivators for satisfaction and success. We work with hundreds of schools each year and greatly expanded our efforts over the last decade. In fact, teachers are now coming to us and asking us to provide them with instruction to be in the classroom. And they also have a chance to strengthen their own skills. Since we welcome these schools from around the state, we also go to the school sometime when they ask us to provide key programming. Education is at the very core of our mission, and it's why we do what we do every day. We educate about 25,000 kids a year, offering more than 600 programs for them to take advantage of. It can be field trips, it can be summer camps after school, but all through that, they're continuing to build their skills, they're continuing to build their abilities. As we know, kid learns everywhere. It's not just in the classroom where kids learn. They have an opportunity to learn wherever they go. And it becomes much richer for them when they can come to the museum with a teacher. It helps give them that experience of a bigger world. Now, through our programs, we're bridging a gap between the school, the classroom, and real life. Surveys we've done show that students that come to the museum, about 40% have never been to a museum or heard a performance by professional musicians. Here in this slide, you see students solving problems in creative ways in our studios and doing an arts and music program. These are middle school students on this slide. It's a chance for them to get to talk to people who do this for a living and inspire them to create their own career. And it's really important for letting them know that they can fulfill their dreams in a way that they don't have this opportunity otherwise. So many of our partnerships are the reason we're successful. We have dozens of partners every year, but these are just 3 I wanted to highlight for you today. Richland Library, which is on the left, we do arts and literacy. You know, often kids' books, when they're little, the first thing they're looking at is an art book. They see colors and shapes and sizes before they can read. So they're already learning about how to think about art and how to think about their life. St. Lawrence Place is the second picture. These kids are homeless, and we work with them on arts education after school and during the summer to help keep them moving forward. And the last one is a new program with First Steps, because these are before they get to kindergarten. So many of the kids who get to kindergarten haven't been prepared to learn, and we help them in that process. Knowing that South Carolina is expecting its senior population to double over the next 20 years, we embarked upon the Creative Age Initiative. This is our program, and we've made changes to the museum facility to better meet the needs of adults as they reach retirement and want to stay active and engaged for years to come. We now provide better seating, technology, new design, and comfort and access for visitors who might have mobility issues, who might be hearing or visually impaired. And the majority of these are free with membership. I do want to share a moment of pride with you. These are just wonderful examples of national publications where we've gained a lot of attention. We are featured not only in the arts press, but as you can see, business and lifestyle publications, and it's such a great sense of pride for us. And now I'd like to tell you quickly what's on view at the CMA this spring. Not only do we bring Columbia outstanding art from around the world, but we also provide our visitors to see local artists do great work. This exhibition is called Columbia Now, 4 Photographers Show Us Our City. It's an exhibition that highlights our hometown. About 24 photographs form a contemporary look at the city of Columbia, including snippets of residents, the beauty of our landscape, and notable architecture. We organized it along with the 150th anniversary of the burning of Columbia that took place in February, because we wanted to show how Columbia has emerged as a vital, vibrant city from that time long ago, and how it's diverse and forward-moving. There's a lot of thought in this show, and I love the way it portrays Columbia. Now, if you would like to soothe your soul and spend the day experiencing beauty, this is the show for you. Charles Courtney Curran's Seeking the Ideal shows the influence of Impressionism on American painting through one of the movement's most important figures. He lived from the beginning of the Civil War to his death during World War II and was popular and prolific in his day. He used both realism and impressionism, but he painted optimistic and joyful images of the world around him, and he sought to show and share beauty in all of his work. Although highly regarded in his time and sought by private collectors today, he may not enjoy the same recognition today of Rembrandt or Warhol, but I have no doubt he will quickly become one of your favorites. Works in this exhibition come from prestigious museums like the Metropolitan Museum in New York and the Art Institute of Chicago. But what is so exciting is many of these works have come from private collections and therefore have not been seen by the public. So this show will provide really great access to one of the great painters of American Impressionism. And there's a bookmark on your table, and please feel free. And in fact, I brought a sign-up sheet, Carol, if you want to, that's passing around. I spoke at the Capitol Rotary yesterday, and I got lots of signatures, so I hope you'll sign up for our email newsletter today. Just a little bit about Curran. He moved to Paris in 1888, and he began to experiment. We can see him using Impressionism in that left photograph, left painting called Paris at Night. And the flowers in the right show the influence of Japan on Europe. And flowers became a theme in Curran's paintings. His love of nature and people at leisure made the famous gardens of Paris a great fit. We see he had a keen eye for architectural elements and color and light. You can also see the way he painted sun filtering through that red umbrella, a bright spot in his work in that particular painting. He returned to the United States 3 years later, and by this time he was a ripe old 30 years old, but had gained the skills and experience needed to support himself as a respected painter. I hope you'll stop by to learn more about Curran and his work. Plus, there's a beautiful exhibition. Because women and children are such a major part of the show, I cannot help think, but it may be a perfect experience for Mother's Day. There's a hint. Brunch downtown at a popular restaurant like Oak Table or Bourbon, followed by beauty. I don't think you could go wrong. And then 2 more quick slides. This summer we have a great show on Andy Warhol, Famous Faces. It's going to be colorful and boisterous, and Andy Warhol is always interested in the art of the moment. It includes Judy Garland, Jimmy Carter, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Albert Einstein, and Superman, to name a few. You can experience these shows along with a guided tour if you like, or you can come on your own. You can always give us a call. Group tour options are available. You can think about it for a Rotary, church group, garden club, or you can even add wine and cheese or lunch. We're happy to make it, tailor it for you. And our staff makes it very easy. So one way you can have a great time and support the museum is by attending one of our events. Concert, lecture, or our gala, which is coming up on the 21st of March. It's always a magical night and raises crucial support for education, which is so dear to my heart. And it's put together by an incredible group of volunteers. Think about renting the museum for your next event, and by doing so, support our community mission. So I hope you'll keep in touch. There's my information. Thank you for listening. And I hope if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer that. I'm happy to take your questions and have a wonderful day today. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
More comments. I'm a member. I love the museum. We had a wedding in town about 2.5 years ago. My 87-year-old cousin from Syracuse came to the wedding and wanted to explore a little around the city and came back bubbling with enthusiasm about having walked up from the Hampton in Vista all the way up to the museum, raved about it, went right back the next day and stayed some more.
Oh my gosh.
Came back and raved some more.
Thank you for that. And one reason I can tell you we have all these states represented is that we ask you kindly to give your zip code at the door, which I'm sure the Syracusan did, because we let government know that we're bringing in the tourists. So when we can say all 46 counties of South Carolina, we really are sort of statewide, even though our name says Columbia.
For our wedding anniversary, I can't remember which one, not too long ago, we made
That's wonderful. We are open first Friday of Sunday, but we also open in the evening hours on Friday nights, the first Friday of every month. So we're thinking about maybe making that free too, so we're playing with that.
I just wanted to shame everybody who hasn't been there into going. When I came to interview at Palmetto Health, and I knew nothing about Columbia, and I came in on a Sunday, and I stayed at the Marriott, and I didn't know enough to know that most people would never even walk around downtown, so I walked and saw all the mansions, I walked in the Vista, and at that point it was free on Sundays. I don't know if it's still free on Sundays.
It is still free on Sunday.
And I walked into the museum, and I spent all afternoon there, and I called my husband and said, I will get this job.
Wonderful. That's a great testimonial. Thank you.
So for all you who have never gone and walked down Girl City,
Right, it is free on Sunday, just come stop by. I mean, it's fun to have brunch. Yes, sir.
Yes, are there organizations or a main organization that gathers art collections and sends them on tours around museums around the country? How does that work?
It's a great question. There used to be more of them, organizations that create exhibitions, and they still are. But what's happened with especially the recession we were talking about earlier is that museums are now looking inward at their own collections. We have 7,000 objects. There are a lot of exhibitions you can make out of 7,000 objects. So museums are now looking at themselves, and then they do horse trading. Because if I lend you my Monet, our most beloved painting, the Columbia Museum of Art you are pretty well sure we're going to go back to that museum that asked for the loan and say, we want to borrow your really famous painting and bring it to Columbia. So a lot of it is now relationships. We know each other, there's museum director associations, and we make them up ourselves, and we tour them ourselves. It's less expensive that way as well, when we do it ourselves versus borrowing it from a big organization.
One other question.
Yes.
Does the museum have a budget for acquisitions? Do you have a long-term plan for acquisitions?
We have a budget for acquisitions. We just rethought, rewrote our collecting strategy because we feel very strongly it's not so much how much you have in your vault and on your wall, it's the quality. So when you read about a museum having 100,000 objects, you want to ask yourself, how many of those do you really show on a regular basis? So what we're trying to do is upgrade the quality of some of what we have. And so what we do is we might sell a work of art and then use that money to buy another work of art that is higher quality or better fit with our collection. Many museums have so many of one artist, they don't need 20 of them. They might sell 3 or 4 and use it to expand the reach of their collection. So there's some nice little refinements you can do, but we do have a budget. It's not huge, no museum, other than Crystal Bridges with all that Alice Walton money in Arkansas. I mean, she can buy anything she wants. She's a new Getty. She's she's the third richest woman in the world. She could get anything. She could upset the art market like crazy if she wanted to. But the rest of us live on Earth.
Yes. I want to know, well, first of all, I enjoy my membership and love taking my grandchildren there. But what I want to know, I don't know if you can tell me, but I'm so interested in how the museum obtained that collection of the teacher, the postal worker, and the librarian in New York City. Oh, tell me.
What she's referring to is a couple named Herbert and Dorothy Vogel. Herbert has passed away. She was a librarian, and he was a postal worker back in the day when you would actually take a letter and you put it in a box. That kind of wasn't automated. And they lived off his salary, and they used hers to buy art. I don't know, he might have made $30,000 a year. And they collected art of the 60s and 70s that nobody wanted back then. And they collected about 4,000 pieces with their very, very modest means. They gave 1,000 pieces to the National Gallery of Art in Washington, and their name is now etched next to the Rockefellers and the Mellons, and they're so sweet. They never had children, so dear. Then they decided, we were both federal workers, public service workers. We want to give back to our country. So they selected 2,500 more. and decided to give 50 to one museum in each state. So it would become a gift to the nation. Well, you couldn't apply for this, because I read about it in the New York Times. They announced the first 10 museums. So I had my curator call up the National Gallery and say, the Columbia Museum of Art is the most deserving. And they said, oh, it's been decided. It's already been decided. They don't know us. Are they going to pick us? Well, sure enough, I got a letter. I started crying when I got the letter that we were selected. I mean, this is all contemporary art, I'm not sure what it all meant, but I just was so excited. And I asked the Mrs. Vogel, and she said, I was so impressed you had the Samuel Kress collection. Because Samuel Kress, the 5 and dime magnate, did the same thing in the 50s and 60s. He felt he made his money from Main Street America, and he wanted to give money back to Main Street America. So that was the inspiration. So I called to thank her. I went to visit her. Guess what? She had another 1,000 pieces to give away. So she gave the Columbia Museum of Art 700 of those 1,000. And we now have the second largest collection of the Vogels after the National Gallery in Washington. We have the second largest collection of Kress after the National Gallery in Washington. Why? The director of the National Gallery in the 1940s was from South Carolina. And he made sure his wonderful state was taken care of. That's why that great story about the friend from Syracuse, they can't believe they come to Columbia, South Carolina and see a world-class museum. So it's a great sense of pride for all of us. I brought some these are free, these are our magazine, you're welcome to take one, and I brought some other brochures for you to take if you'd like. But I can't thank you enough. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank my wonderful board member, Stu Hamilton, who's a member of Rotary, and Stu is on our board now and bringing great ideas and life and vibrancy to the board, so thank you, Stu. Yeah, Neil.